everyone, welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and it is a cold morning in the Ozarks. I'm recording this on Tuesday. As I get ready to leave for a writer's retreat, I wanted to get this one up, and I'm going to get Friday's video up, so there will be a premiere on Friday morning, because I'll have a chance to sit in on a premiere before I leave the hotel, check out of the hotel. Now, I had promised people I would show this process of this breaking down my stamp sets. Some of you have been checking in, wanting to know how the process was going. I'm down to my last 15 sets, but I can't work on that today. I've got to get ready to get packed up. So, and I do need to make a correction. I did not have almost 600 stamp sets. I had almost 500 stamp sets. I know, it's still a lot. But I did hear from one girl when we were talking that she has over 1,000. Now, whether that's sets or individual stamps, I don't know. But still, it's still a lot of stamps. Okay. So, what I've done is, now I'm going to show you these two as if I were doing a pair of stamp and die combinations. I'm going to say 98% of my stamps were Stampin' Up. And that's still over a 20-year collection. So still plenty of stamps and plenty of years to work with. But I'm going to show you how this was done, but I'm doing it in two separate ones. Now, if the stamp set was just a clear stamp set, then all I would do, let's see, back up. These are the tools that I used. I used magnet sheets from Menards. I used these poly cutting mats, flexible cutting mats from Dollar Tree. There are 2 to a package, so I could get 4 mats from a package. So, I'll tell you how many of these I've gone through. And then I've also used these baggies from Amazon. And they come in packs of 150, I believe. And they have this sealing tape at the top, and I have just cut them down to where the openings are level, okay? So I have those. This is what all of my stamp sets have been going into. They've gone from the big cases and the clamshell cases from Stampin' Up! Into these. I have gone from 30, I think it was either 32 or 37 photo boxes, because that's how I've always stored my stamps, was I've always stored them in photo boxes like this and flipped through to find the one I need. I did my dies the same way, but I've gone from either 32 or 37 down to 15, 14. Anyway, I've cut it in more than half of the space that it's going to take to store all of my stamps and dies. So, let's start with this one. Now, if they were just a polymer stamp set, I just took them out of this case, slid them in the bag, and I'm going to probably make a mess. I'm going to dump these out here because I'm going to show you the trick with those here in a minute too. But I want to get to my paper here. I would take and cut. Now, if it had a front and a back both, I cut the back off, and then I cut off the spine. Okay? Don't need that one. It's garbage. Some of you would say, but you can use that. Well, you know what? I probably can, but I'm really trying to be strict about what I'm pitching and what I'm keeping. So there was that. So then this would go in the bag. But before I do that, I would take, I'm looking for my piece of poly here. I would take all my stamp sets. Now, if you'll notice, these, when you put those down on here, some of them stick, some of them don't. If they don't, then I would put a coat of my Tombow glue. You can use tack it over and over for Madeline's. Just, it needs to be one that when it dries, it's still going to leave a tacky surface. So I would coat all of these, lay them aside. See, that one wants to stick, but that one doesn't. So let's go ahead and just do this. And as long as I've got glue left, I've gone through 3 bottles of glue doing this. And I try to get it as thin a coat as I can. Just like this. Give it a squeeze, get a dollop out of there, and then spread it around. I might not be able to do this whole package. We'll see. Okay. Run that around. Now, if they don't have this, on some of these, this plastic wants to curl up. See how that wants to curl? If those were curling up, I just eliminated them altogether and just put the glue directly onto the foam. And I'm going to take this, has got some extra glue on it, so I'm just going to take and wipe this one on here. Use it to spread the glue, and then it has glue on it too, just like that. Okay. And then I would leave these to dry overnight. And once they were dry, I would flip them over onto their case, or onto their cutting mat. And then they'd be ready to go for when I'm ready to use them. And I have done this with all of the rubber stamp sets that did not want to stick. Now, the older stamp sets, the ones that had the green label that were before our Stampin' Up's 30th anniversary, all of those pretty much needed to have the glue put on them. And they were the majority of my 98% stamp sets. I'm trying to do this. It's early in the morning. You know me and glue. They want to stick to my fingers. My tremors are not awake yet this morning. So I am going away for 4 days this week and see if I can't bring book 2 together. It's basically written with with some filler scenes needed, but I won't know what those filler scenes are until I take all of the quilted pieces that I've written and get them put together in a cohesive order. Now see, this was the center out of this, but I can put this, use it, and it will be a great mixed media piece just to add dollops of color on a page. Just like that, okay? So that's how that would go. Once this dried, I'd flip them over so they'd stick to the sheet, lay this on here, oops, I missed one, and then slide them into their plastic bag. Now I've got to find a place to lay this one because I've been using my storyboard for my book across my big trash can to let these dry. So I've got to set this aside someplace where it will dry on its own and that the cat won't knock it off. So give me just a second here. I think I've got a spot right up there. Okay, and then this would slide in the bag. The stamp set would slide in the bag, and I would drop it into its coordinating box. Now, if it had a die that went with it, I have the chevron, mint chevron labeling from my brother, P-Touch. And I would put a die sticker right there, so I'd know that this had a die to go with it. Now, the other thing I've done differently is, if the stamp set had a die with it, everything's stored in this case, just like this. But since I'm getting rid of the cases, the dies are also going in these clear envelopes, and it has a coordinating die. I'm putting the die right behind it, so everything is together. So we have this. Let me lay this aside. I'll stick it up here. So it's laying with its stamp set for now. Now this one says dots and spots. So this die goes with a stamp set called dots and spots. So what I would do, the stamp set has the word dies labeled on it. But then this one, because this goes with dots and spots, I don't want that one. What did I do with that bag? Let me grab, oh, I'll use this bag for now. And all I would do is, if I didn't already have a piece of magnet sheet, I'm using the magnetic covers that go on your vent covers from the home improvement store. I can get 6 from a sheet, I believe. Yeah, I can get 6 from a sheet. And then I would just transfer my dies to here. But before I do that, oh, here's the die for dots and spots. Here's the die for dots and spots. So, let me go ahead and label this one. This one isn't dots and spots. What is it? it goes with so detailed. Okay, so let's leave that one as it is. And I'm going to slide it back in here so I don't lose it. And I will go through and... Now, I've got them, everything is cataloged, which means... excuse me. Which means I have gone through the Google search, put in the name of the stamp set, and then I would go pick one of those images and copy it and save it, do a screen clip on it, and save it to a flash drive by category. All the stamp sets are stored by category, and then behind that category, yes, I know, they're going to be in alphabetical order, but that's so I can flip through and find them better. If I'm looking for a sweet treat, I know that a sweet treat is going to be in the beginning of food, and it's going to be an A. Easy to find. Okay, so dots and spots. What I would do is I would take the die off of the sheet that they would send it on with that little strip of tape. Now I would use this to back the magnet so that it's got a little support. So it has a little support. And then this goes on here, just like that. Now I'm going to keep this back sheet because it's labeled that way as to what that die is. It wasn't until recently that they started listing the stamp sets and the dies with the same name. Before they were doing just the name of the stamp set and then the die would have a coordinating name. And it got really confusing on some of them because they really didn't match. But now everything matches. So this tells me that this die goes with the dots and spots stamp set, which means it's probably in a background. And if I'm not sure where a stamp set is, all I have to do is pull up my file on my flash drive, flip through the and do a search. I have a main file labeled stamp catalog. So I can open that file and in search put in dots and spots. And it will tell me what category that is in, and I can go right to it. So this is how it's all been coming down. Here's one of the few I have left to break down. Excuse me, it is really early in the morning. We've dropped about 8 degrees since I got up at 5 o'clock. Okay, see I have happy hellos. This one goes on one or another, because apparently I broke them all down. There we go, that's where that one goes. So, if you want to take your stamps off your wooden blocks, lay them stamp side up in your microwave for about 7 seconds. Now the teeny tiny ones, if I just had this on a block, I'd probably do it for 5 seconds. If it's a much larger stamp, I'm probably going to do it for 8. Usually don't need to do more than 8 seconds. And then I just took a putty knife and went up underneath the edge and it pried right up. Okay, and it would just work it easy. Keep your hand on top because, and if you've got something you can brace this against, because very first day I put a gouge in my thumb with my palette knife. You do want something pretty sturdy in your palette knife, so I recommend using one that you would use from painting for like scraping windows, that kind of thing. Something that's got a sturdy blade on it. And then transfer them to my cutting mat sheet, and I'm done. There they go. It's been that easy to break this down, but because there have been so many of them, it has also taken some time. So that's it for me in the studio today. I'm gradually getting this studio in order, but the stamp set was my biggest chore because I kept having to move the tub full of stamps or the stacks of stamps around so I could get to do other things. And now that is done. They will be, by next weekend when I get home from the retreat and I do these last 15 boxes, everything will be on the shelves and the stamp sets will be where I can get to them and where I can create with them. And I'm so looking forward to that part. Now, as I said, I'm at a writing retreat this weekend, but I will be back on Friday for our premiere, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, or 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. because I'm going to be doing the flip through of how far I've gotten in my Dollar Tree journal. I've come quite a ways. The only thing I have left to do is some touch-ups and add tags, but obviously since I'm leaving today, that's not going to happen today. But so it's a matter of filling in the pockets, but otherwise the journal's pretty much done. And so I'm going to take you a walk through that on Friday morning and show you where I'm at, what I still need to do. I do need to add some dangles on some of the side pages. And if I have time to play with that this morning, I will after I get my stuff packed up for the hotel. But I've done 3 of each for each signature. And they're just some of the Dollar Tree beads strung on Dollar Tree baker's twine, and I'm going to put them on dangles on the sides of pages. So that's it for me in the studio today. Remember to like, to share, subscribe, and when Bob goes back to work next week and this stamp project is out of the way, videos are going to start coming again back to their frequency. Creative blessings.